A train is a series of railroad cars moved as a unit, and it can carry people, objects, and commodities in order to get things from destination to another destination. Now, trains have been around since 1804 and serve a great purpose up until now. This video isn't really focusing on like those high-speed trains, but more about railroading in general and different terminology. Hey there guys, Matt Guzman here, back in a new video, and today's going to be about how to get the railroading merit badge. Now this one isn't too difficult. It has 8 requirements, and some of them are long, but it just depends on which path you choose because of the different sub-requirements. And you'll see what I mean in a second. So let's get right into it. Obviously this merit badge is going to be about railroading and trains. So number 1 says do 3 of the following. There are only 4 choices, so I'll list all 4 of them. 1A says to name 3 types of modern freight trains, and explain why unit trains are more efficient than mixed freight trains. 1B says name 1 Class 1 or regional railroad, and explain what major cities it serves, the location of major terminals, service facilities, crew change points, and the major commodities it carries. 1C says using models or pictures, identify 10 types of railroad freight and or passenger cars, and explain the purpose of each type of car. Finally, 1D says to explain how a modern diesel or electric locomotive develops power, and explain the terms dynamic braking and radial steering trucks. Moving on to number 2, it says do the following. There are 2 parts, but 2A is kind of long. It says explain the purpose and formation of Amtrak, and in doing so, explain, by the use of a timetable, a plan for making a trip by rail between 2 cities at least 500 miles apart. And it wants you to list the times of departure, the arrival at your destination, the train number and name, and the type of service you want. 2 also says for 2B, list and explain the various forms of public and or mass transit using rail. So this isn't part of a specific requirement, and I was young when I went on this trip, so I don't remember much, but this video shows this is an actual steam engine that works and brought me from a destination to another destination like a train should. And this was a passenger train car, so it was able to bring us from one place to another attraction, and I thought it was really cool because when I saw the video I realized it was like a real train. I'm not sure if it was like a real steam train, but I'm guessing it is because it was moving and you could see the steam coming out of it. But even if it wasn't a real steam engine, it probably still has a type of engine. As you could see, there were other train tracks there, and it shows that that had multiple trains coming through with different routes. So I thought that was really cool, and the scenery is just amazing. And I really wish this requirement would have you like go out to look at more trains instead of just like explaining a bunch of stuff. But you know, that's just my preference. But you can now see my experience with trains, and it's really cool because if you've actually been on a train, I mean, it's not too special, but like it's just kind of cool because it's a real train instead of just like a model train or a train that looks like one but it's not really a train. You know what I mean? So anyway, this is just one of my experiences, and I wish the merit badge would have you like actually go out to look for a train, or at least like watch videos explaining how a train works instead of just having you defining terms and everything. Nonetheless, it is a pretty cool merit badge, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of this video. And that's it for 2. Moving on to number 3. It says to do 1 of the following. And again, I'll list all of them because there's only a few choices. 3A says name 4 departments of a railroad company and describe what each department does. 3B says tell about the opportunities in railroading that interest you most and why. 3C says name 4 rail support industries and describe the functions of each one. And 3D says with parent and counselor approval, interview someone employed in the rail industry and learn what this person does and how this person became interested in railroading. Also, it says to find out what type of schooling and training are required for this position. Moving on to number 4, it's very short. Explain the purpose of Operation Lifesaver and its mission. And that's it for 4. Moving on to number 5. It says there's there's a full requirement in the description. I just remembered. This requirement is actually fairly long, so I'm only going to pick out the sub requirements that I chose. So there 5 says to do 3 of the following, and there are 7 choices. So A says to list 5 safety precautions that help make a train safer for workers and passengers. 5B says to explain to your merit badge counselor why safety around rights of way is important. And the last one I chose, 5C, lists 10 safety tips to remember when you are near a railroad track. Remember, the rest of the other choices will be in the description. 5C also says either on the ground, on a station platform, or aboard a train. Moving on to number 6, explain the appearance and meaning of the following warning signs and devices: advance warning sign, pavement markings, crossbooks, flashing red lights, and crossing gates. The most common warning sign people think of is a crossbuck that looks like this, but there are a lot of other warning signs, and you can see them in a lot of places, especially here in Florida. There's trains everywhere, apparently. At least that I hear them all the time. Also in Florida, in Orlando, there's Universal Studios, and they have a place there with Hogwarts themed, and there's this King's Cross railroad that had this cool-looking train here, and it looks like a real steam engine, and it appears to run like one, but I looked it up, and it's actually what's called a funicular, and it even though it looks like a steam train, it's actually a cable car train that just runs back and forth. It doesn't turn or anything. It actually just runs back and forth. But it's made to look like an actual steam engine train. But that's why this merit badge has you look up the different terminology so you can understand the differences between what an actual steam train would be like versus a modern train versus a cable car train. So yeah. And that was it for number 6. Also very small. 7 says to do each of the following, so all of these. 7A, explain how railroad signals operate and show 2 basic signal types using color or configuration. 7B, explain the meaning of 3 horn signals. 7C, describe a way to signal a train for an emergency stop. And 7D, explain the use and function of the EOTD, end of train device, or FRED, flashing rear end device, used on the last car of most freight trains. So the last requirement, number 8, is a little bit difficult to understand, at least for me it was, so I'm going to work it out step by step. And keep in mind, this is one of the ones where it has so many choices, so I'm going to explain how they split it off, and then I'm only going to show the requirements that I chose to do. So it's select one of the following special interest areas and complete the requirements. So once again, the full requirement for 8 will be in the description. Each option, A and B, also have multiple choices. So I chose requirement 8A. So that meaning that there's 2 choices, A, model railroading, or B, rail fanning, and you choose one of those. The one I chose was 8A, and 8A has you choose 2 more of the following from 8A. So 8A1 says draw a layout of your own model railroad or one that could be built in your home. Design a point-to-point track or loop with different routings, and also be sure to include one of the following: a turnaround, or a terminal, or a yard, or a siding. So this is just drawing a simple layout. And the other one I did, 8A3, name the scale of 4 popular model railroad gauges. Identify the scale of 4 model cars or locomotives. So again, you're supposed to select one, either 8A or 8B. So because I did 8A, I did not have to choose 8B. And then either one that you chose, both require 2 more sub-requirements. So I did 8A1, 8A3. Remember, only one of these options is needed, but whichever option you choose, you still need to do 2 more sub-requirements. The reason why I wanted to stress the previous point is because I accidentally did both 8A and 8B. For 8B, I did 1 and 3, For number one, we actually, when we were going to Mammoth Cave, we found this mini museum, and it was this path that had a cable car, and on the side of the cable car, it would show what it is, and it had this little information thing, and I forgot what it said, but I'm sure you can pause the video. But as it says in the requirement, it says take, what I did was a videotape and explain what I saw. And I explained that I saw this cable car and the information that was there explaining what it was and what the model was supposed to be. And that is it for the Railroading Mirror Badge. Thank you for watching my video on how to get the Railroading Mirror Badge. If you enjoyed it, please like it, turn on notifications on my channel, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!